What is up, everybody? We are back with another mix breakdown. I think I'm going to do mix breakdowns like Tuesday, Thursdays, and the visual breakdowns like Monday, Wednesday, I think. But today we're doing Digital Deth, which is quite a digital doozy if I do say so myself. So let's get right into it. This is the track. It starts up here, goes all the way down here. Got all sorts of stuff going on. This is one of my favorite mixes I've ever done. I had so much fun with it. I did so many things that I thought were really cool. So yeah, let's start at the top here, work our way down. I'll give you a quick rundown. We got the reference track up here, the ever important reference track. We got bass, we got guitars, we got a bunch of vocals. Vocals is from like here all the way down to here. Then we have our electronics section, got our percussion, and then we have our synths, and then just some effects. So not too many things, just lots and lots and lots of automation going on, and I'll try to cover as much as I can in this video without making it too long. So first, honestly, I'll start with the reference track. My reference track for this mix was a song called Modern Demon by the band Combat Christ. And it's an absolute banger. I'll play a really quick snippet of it here. I don't want to get like copyright struck or anything, but here it is. And then like the chorus. Like absolute banger. Like such a cool track. I'll probably link it in the description if you want to take a listen to it because it's such a good track. So starting off with the bass here, you'll notice I have two bass channels. I'm not using both of these. I had made the original bass channel, which if you can see here is 1, 2, 3, 4 compressors. I crack myself up. Just a standard Ableton cab and speaker. And then got saturator, got an EQ. So this is what the original bass sounded like. It's all right. But then I kind of went through and did like a remix, not like an actual remix, but like I literally remixed it. And I came up with more of an aggressive bass tone. And this was also around the time I was recording Future Sight. So I had those new strings, if you remember. And so I was like, I know I can make this sound better. So the chain for this is we got cab going into the amp. I know that's technically backwards, but in Ableton, it sounds better to me than the other way around. The cab tends to kind of make it a little muddy, at least to me. I got a compressor, another compressor. I have four compressors, yes. Now you're wondering, Max, why do you have 4 compressors? The reason being is that I could have done this more efficiently and just chained it to a group, but I didn't. The first compressor is actually doing compressing to the actual bass. The next one is for the snare. Then I have a saturator. And then after that, it's sidechaining to the clinical kit, which is just for certain parts of the track. After that, it's going to the kick drum and being ultra compressed. Then I have an EQ rolling off some of the really, really low end, drum bus, R bass, and then a gate to make it a little snappier. But let's do like an A, B real quick. So I'll start with the original. And then so much better, and it cuts through the mix. It's so great. So that's kind of the difference. The biggest thing I did with the track when I went back and changed some stuff was really make that bass stand out. Because it's really important, especially at the beginning of the track where it's like really only the main element that's going on. So that's the bass. Next, we got the guitars. The guitars are present in a couple different sections. I'll show them first in like the chorus, what they sound like. As you can tell, incredibly sidechained. I have them sidechained to the kick, sidechained to that clinical kit I mentioned, EQ rolling off a ton of stuff, and these are pretty simple chain. So it's bias effects, which is what I use for pretty much all my guitar sounds because I haven't shelled out the money for neural DSP guitar plugins yet, but I'm using this chain in Bias Effects. If you are a Bias Effects user, go ahead and copy it if you want. It's just a boost, compression, chorus, British rock amp, EQ, reverb. This was made by my friend Alex because he actually plays the guitar well, so he knows how to make good guitar tones. And I use that on both tracks, and the real thing that sells it is the redo here in the front. It just crushes it. I was a huge fan, and I still am, of Nine Inch Nails' album The Fragile, and like, you know, the songs like Starfuckers Incorporated or really anything off that album. The guitars just sound like chainsaws, and it's so awesome. So like, let me turn off the redo and show it. It just makes them so much more aggressive, and I love it. And the other thing I use the guitars for is kind of similar to how I use them in Future Sight, because I was making Future Sight and Digital Deth like in tandem, like around the same time. So lots of the techniques I used in one, I pulled over to the other. So here I have the guitars, and they're just really acting as like ambiance. So I'll play this. So using them as like risers and using them as just like kind of sounds to pull you into the chorus is what I use those for there. And there's some other pretty fun uses of the guitars throughout this track too. So we have this big bridge section that happens, let me find it, happens over here. And if we go to the guitars here, you get some cool stuff going on. Let me find it. Oh my gosh, this project is so big. Yeah, like right here. So here's some wacky guitar stuff. So I'm basically using it as a really, really, really long riser, and I'm doing that by automating this plugin right here, one knob, and it's just a pumper. It's the pumper one knob, and just doing like, I'm just like hitting the guitar and stuff. I'm not even really playing it and pick scraping and all that stuff. So I thought that worked out really well there. Another fun part is if you've listened to the track already, there's like that really nice down chorus, and the guitars start with doing this thing. And the life is in the data, life's in the data. But I love how the guitars sound during the down chorus. Let me go through that. That's not the down chorus. That is still the life is in the data section. Here we are. Oh. So that's what that filter was for. That auto filter right here. And then I have like the Gate Lab 64, which I've talked about a bunch on that as well. And it just creates this really cool, like kind of zooming around glitchy sound that I love. And I believe I had a bunch of like panning going on, like as you can see. Actually, never mind, I didn't. But the Gate Lab is panning at all sorts of crazy places. So that I thought was really cool. And that's kind of like where the real instruments end. That's typically how most of my stuff is, just bass and guitar is going to be actually recorded in. And then we get to vocals. I think I'm going to go over drums and stuff first, and then we'll hop back into vocals. So here in Drum World, honestly, the drums aren't that crazy in this one. I keep it pretty chill. I got these hi-hats, which I really like. Let me play these hi-hats for you. And that's just some Ableton sample. Got a ping pong delay on there, which I turn on and off occasionally. Got an echo, fuzz, saturator, EQ. EQing was really important in this song just because of how many aggressive elements I had in it. So I really recommend EQing the crap out of everything. There's no point in, like with a hi-hat, there's no point in having anything under like, you know, this area happening. Like there's no point. Usually what I do is I'll sit there on the EQ and I'll just drag it back or forward, depending on the type of sound it is, until it starts sounding weird. And once it starts sounding weird, and I'll do this soloed, I'll do it soloed first until it starts sounding weird. And then I'll do the same thing with the full mix and see if I can get it into that weird category. But it might sometimes still work in the mix because that stuff that sounds really cool isolated sometimes does not translate through. So if it doesn't, there's no point in having it there. Like, it just is muddying up the mix. So that's a good little EQ tip there. And this is the snare. Oh, pretty crazy, right? That's the snare. It's really simple. I just got this little filter here, making it have a little bit of resonance. It's the tape snare, which I've used in a couple other tracks. I think, again, this was nearly used in Future Sight, but was not. Drum bus, a little bit of reverb, EQ, same deal here, and then a gate. Gate, is my opinion, is essential to have with the snare. You don't need to use it all the time, but I really like keeping it on the chain, sometimes just off, and then turn it on when I need it, to make sure you have control over how long that snare is taking up space. So that's the hats and the snare. Their sounds stay pretty much consistent throughout it. I liked using the samples here because I could change the pitch of them. So for different sections, you got a different pitch. Like down chorus, I literally make the pitch of the snare drum go down. And final, like, kind of separate element here is the ever-present riot kick. So I think it's coolest here at the beginning. So again, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have multiple samples within this kick drum to make it so there's more variety and make it so I can make like almost like really, really muted tom rhythms with the kick, which I really like. And it allows me to build up intensity really, really easy. And then another little special thing I did with the kick was this was around the time I developed that extra top. So this thing, oh, you can't hear it because it's soloed. Let me do it on this track. So this guy, like that right there, and this, like that super high one, I added that during this track. So instead of having just this kick, I added in another layer of tops on top of it to make it more aggressive. So I did this. It's not super noticeable, but it helps it cut through the mix a lot better. And that was during a section where it was more electronic focused, so I thought that would work. Let's see. Kind of final percussion element is the clinical kit. I use this for two different things. I mainly am using I believe the hi-hat. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm mainly using that hi-hat. I have it pretty brutal on the drum bus and the limiter, just like slamming it. Let me show you what that sounds like in the full mix. And I think that hat there is a good example of making sure you listen to things in the full mix, because I don't really like how that sounds by itself, but the aggressiveness of it by itself makes it sound kind of normal when you have all these crazy elements going on with it. So I use that for the up hat for like the lives in the data section, and then this is what it sounds like during the chorus. And so that turns into, please take a little Deth from me. I think it's really cool. I love this kit, and it sounds super like, same thing with Future Sight, where I get some of that like 80s, 90s, like electronic drum cheese in there, like this fill right here. Oh my god, did I lose my fun cheesy fill? I think I did. Like, that is just so much fun. I love that sound. And with the kick drum too, oh, it's great. So that was a really, really fun kit I found. And again, this is literally just a Ableton standard kit. I found most of their kits, you do have to add some effects and mess with the settings. But once you do that, you can make them sound great. So that's all the drums. Let's go to vocals. Vocals, I really wanted to get the vocals to sound good on this, and I think they do. One of the issues I have with singing is I'm just not that good of a singer, if I'm going to be completely honest. And due to that, one thing I'm especially not good at is singing like aggressively, like singing loud, because I can do like kind of Radiohead whisper vocals and like quiet, like floaty stuff all day long because it doesn't take much airflow or like a bunch of good support that like good singers have, you know. But doing like these big choruses, I usually have issues with like selling them and making them sound like I'm not struggling. So I'll go through kind of the different layers of vocals here where I was able to, I think, get a pretty good sound. There's a lot of vocals. So down here, I'll start, I guess, with the chorus vocals. So this is what all the chorus vocals sound like together. That's chorus 2, so they're really quiet. Let me go here. I'm more than a program. I'm not just someone's machine. So I got 4 tracks here. They're all panned pretty tight in the center, but they still got a little bit of spread to give it a little more body, make it sound less thin. And I believe for some of these, they are going to be distorted. So like this. Just someone's machine. Like that. And then some of them aren't going to be as distorted. But most of these are running through Shep 73. Some of them are chill, some of them are not chill, like on the Shep's 73 settings. But I had never used the 73 for vocal distortion before, and I thought I'd try it out, and I think it turned out really well. I really liked it. So that's what I was using mainly for the vocals. A little bit of high boost. This is something, pop shield. Okay, it's just helping with sibilance because, as you can see here, I don't have a pulp filter. Well, I do, I just am too lazy to set it up. And compressor. So pretty simple vocal chain. Again, just going into another de-esser, and then this auto filters for that down chorus I have, and then an echo is just to pop on real quick during important moments. So that's the chorus vocals. The chain on them stays pretty much the same throughout. And then the verse vocals go something like this. I'm human. A service state, my beating heart. So they're pretty simple too. It's kind of my same philosophy of having some really clean stuff so they know what I'm saying, and having some processed stuff so it sounds good. I'm using my amalgamation clean vocal channel on my main vocal, and that sounds just like this. Service state, my beating heart. And then I have the fuzz. I really enjoyed using the MDMX fuzz from Waves. I know if you're a musician, everyone's kind of pissed off at Waves right now, understandably so, but this is a good fuzz plugin. It gets a sound that's unique to at least the Ableton stock fuzz. So I used it here, and that's like this. Like super, super thick. I love it. And then this one, I used my, it's pretty much really similar to the main one. I just used my Pints of Blood vocal chain instead of my amalgamation one. So you get a little bit more like of that heavily compressed vocal in there too. And the only other additions to the vocals would be at the beginning. I don't have this bottom thing much except for the end to build up. And I believe I'm whispering at the beginning too. Deconstruction. Never mind, I'm not. But I do have, here's the whisper. Deconstruction. Would it be a Max Windsor track if there wasn't a whisper track? I don't think it would, really. That is supported by this. JK, it's not. Wait. There it is. So I had a bunch of layers at the beginning to kind of sell it because I know the intro of the track is kind of weird. And then I also have this auxiliary vocal here that gets a lot of delay. And so that's mainly just using a really wacky echo. And then MDMX Overdrive this time, which is also cool. I think it's the weakest out of the MDMX series, but it's still cool. Heavy compressor and S1 imager, which you've seen me use before, just makes it wider, gets it out of the way of the main vocal parts. Oh, there's still more vocals. There are so many vocals in this track. It's crazy. My favorite vocals, I can get to my favorite stuff now. My favorite vocals in the track are definitely these guys. And you probably know what these are if you've heard the track, but... so much fun to record. I was just like, I'm not going to do it now because it'll redline this mic, but I was just yelling like an idiot and then running it through compressor, EQ, a little bit of utility for more width, and then again the MD-Max fuzz I thought sounded incredible here. I loved it. So that's what I use for those like kind of yells that bounce back and forth, and I'm just doing a bunch of panning and automation to change those up over time. And the life is in the data, death is in the data, like that little like pre-chorus section. That part is pretty much a combination of like some of the main vocal chains slightly changed. You see I made a different set of tracks here for it, which is like that whisper added back in. So that's the vocals. And now we can move on to the synthesizers. Again, a lot of Ableton stock stuff here. This Acid Machine, absolute monster. If you have Ableton, please use it. I have on it the Heavy Amp, EQ3, Utility, Chorus Ensemble, Auto Pan, and again an EQ. And I'm just messing with the filter cutoff on this, as you should with anything with the word acid in it. You should always mess with the filter cutoff. But it worked for like multiple things. It worked not only for like a cool sound during like kind of the techno acidy bridge part, but also as like a riser. Like, oh my god, listen to this. Like, that's so cool. Or this part. Like, that's crazy. I couldn't even tell you how I made that sound, to be honest. I'm automating a lot of stuff. I'm automating a ton of stuff over here, if you can't tell. Like, I got, see, none of it's happening here, so. But really fun stuff going on. I think it might have been some delay automation. No. Okay, well, it's forever a mystery then, how I made it do that. But super, super, super fun sound. I really enjoyed using it. And then this is what it sounds like when it's kind of featured. So you get those little like really high like resonant spikes that you should get if you're using something with the word acid in it. And I thought it was a cool little synth. On top of that, sticking with the acid theme, I was also super into the TB303 at this time. I do not have one, but I love the sound. So Ableton has a admittedly not that good 303 preset thing here for one of the synths. I think it's an operator or something. But let's see. No, it's a wavetable. Okay. But I have a kind of some EQ stuff, chorus, drum bus, saturator, OTT, limiter, gate, compressor again. Saturator's turned off, probably because I just didn't like it. But I'm trying to do a good amount of modulation here because the 303 is like really known for having a lot of modulation in its sound when you're playing with it. So I just have like a really, honestly, basic bass line that I'm doing for this, and I'll play that here. And you can see the sound's kind of thickening up and loosening up over time. But I thought it was cool bass line, really simple, just octaves. And kind of like the bedrock, the foundation of the whole entire like techno section or acid section, or I'm so bad at electronic music genres. If someone gave me like a playlist of electronic music songs and said put them in their right genres, I would get an F. I would just say everything is house music probably. So let me play the Buzz wrecker here for the millionth time. Another stock synth and very simple. This is one of my vocal chains. This is one of like my old, like not that good, like way too reverby vocal chains, but apparently it worked on this. So let's listen to this. And everything together. And I think the thing that really tied this section together was just the weird guitar processing I was doing. I thought that it helped it project forward and do a lot better in terms of like momentum, because that's something I struggle with sometimes, is having good momentum. So that's the track really. The out chorus pretty much takes the best of everything and combines it. So you get the hi-hat from the clinical kit, you get the kick drum, you get the snare going up and down all over the place, you get a more complicated hi-hat pattern, more aggressive guitars, more vocals, more, more everything. And I think I changed the guitar part up for the second one. Let's see. Yeah, and I'm like, next thing I do, I'm gonna have to use that guitar sound again because it's such a fun one. But yeah, that's Digital Deth. Hope you enjoyed the mix breakdown. Sin is available everywhere right now, and Digital Deth is part of that album, so go check it out if you haven't already. Before I go, let me just quickly go over last couple things. So I have 4 sins here. Sins, yes, like the album. I got a reverb delay send, I got a compressor send, and I have a high boost send. This high boost I've been using a lot in my tracks. Lots of the album has it, where just during the chorus, I send the vocals to a high boost. So it just gives them a little more cut in the mix, so you know this is the chorus. And the rest of these are used throughout the track, depending on what's going on. As you can see, most of the tracks have something, or like especially the synths have a lot of automation for these synths. That's mainly what these synths are for, is for this synth section. And for the master, S1, just to give it a tiny bit of width and fix the stereo image a little bit. Ozone and Insight, so I knew what my LUFS were at. And yeah, that's it. That is Sin. It, I think, came out to something like 30 tracks or something. Yeah, something like that. It was a super fun project. This is one of my favorites on the album. So like I said, if you haven't already, go check it out. Available everywhere, link in description, all that fun stuff. And I will see you later for more mix breakdowns and more visual breakdowns. Peace.